Heartbreak is one of life's deepest wounds. It pierces in a way nothing else can, leaving you feeling shattered, lost, and hollow. Yet beneath that pain, beneath the tears and the silence that follows, lies a mystery too often overlooked. Sometimes what feels like the breaking of your heart is actually the saving of your soul. Sometimes the very thing you thought you needed most is stripped away, not to destroy you, but to protect you, to free you, and to bring you closer to who you were always meant to become. Life has a way of teaching us through loss. The relationship you thought would last forever ends suddenly, leaving you with questions that have no answers. The dream you poured yourself into falls apart when you were closest to reaching it. The trust you gave to someone turns into betrayal you never saw coming. In those moments, it feels like the world has conspired against you. But sometimes, the ending of what you wanted is the beginning of what you truly needed. Heartbreak is not always punishment. It is surgery. It cuts away what was infecting your spirit. It removes what was silently poisoning your peace. It exposes what was never strong enough to carry the weight of your destiny. The pain is sharp, but it is purposeful. Just as a surgeon cuts to heal, life sometimes allows your heart to break, so your soul can finally breathe again. Think about the times you've begged for something to stay, someone you loved, an opportunity you thought was everything, a plan you believed was perfect. And yet, no matter how tightly you held on, it slipped through your hands. That wasn't abandonment, that was intervention. Because not everything you love is good for you. Not everything you desire is meant for your future. Not everyone you give your heart to is capable of guarding it with care. The heartbreak may have shattered your world, but it saved your soul from carrying a burden it was never meant to bear. The breaking also builds you. When your heart breaks, you discover strength you never knew you had. You learn resilience in the silence, courage in the loneliness, and wisdom in the scars. You come to see that you can survive what once threatened to destroy you. And survival turns into growth. Growth turns into clarity. And clarity leads you to a deeper understanding of who you are and what you deserve. Every heartbreak is a teacher. It teaches you to let go of illusions, to release attachments that weaken you, and to stop giving your soul to things that do not nourish it. It teaches you the value of your own worth, the necessity of boundaries, and the importance of guarding your peace. And once the lesson is learned, you realize that the breaking was not meant to leave you broken. It was meant to shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and freer. So do not despise the heartbreaks of your life. Do not curse the moments that left you in tears. Instead, see them for what they truly are. Turning points, transformations, redirections. Sometimes your heart must be broken so your soul can be saved. Sometimes what feels like the end is simply the first step into a greater beginning. You could not see while you were blinded by comfort, illusion, or false hope. So take action today. Stop chasing what has already left you. Stop fighting to keep what was never meant to stay. Stand tall in the face of heartbreak and let it fuel your transformation. Let it break you open, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you stronger, freer, and more alive than ever before. The pain was not your ending, it was your awakening. Now rise and live the life your soul was saved for. Heartbreak is not punishment, it is protection and healing. So many people go through life believing that when their heart breaks, it is a form of failure or a form of punishment, as though they must have done something wrong to deserve such pain. But the truth is far greater and far deeper than that. Heartbreak is often the hand of mercy pulling you away from something that was quietly destroying you. It is the unseen shield that steps in when you cannot see the danger yourself. When you look at life through that lens, every heartbreak becomes less about loss and more about rescue. Less about devastation and more about deliverance. Think of it this way. A child may cry when a parent takes away a sharp object from their hand. To that child, it feels unfair, confusing, even cruel. They do not yet understand the danger of what they were holding. They only see that something they wanted was taken from them. But the parent sees what the child cannot, the hidden threat. In the same way, when your heart breaks, it is often because life, in its infinite wisdom, removed something from you that you thought was good but was secretly harmful. You cry because it hurts, but the truth is, you were being protected from something far worse than the pain of letting go. Heartbreak also heals in ways we rarely recognize at first. When you give your love, your trust, your loyalty to someone or something that doesn't honor it, your soul begins to wither. You may not even notice the slow erosion of your peace, your confidence, your joy. You tell yourself that things will get better, that you just need to try harder, that maybe you're asking for too much, but all the while, you are being drained. And then one day, the heartbreak comes. It feels like the ground has given way beneath you. But what is really happening is that your soul is being freed from what was choking it. The pain of heartbreak becomes the medicine, bitter though it may be, that cleanses you of what was slowly destroying your spirit. There is a strange kind of healing that only comes through breaking. A vase that never cracks will never be examined for weakness. But once it breaks, you see clearly where the flaws were. Your heart works the same way. Sometimes it has to break for you to finally recognize what was unhealthy, what was toxic, what was false. And in that recognition, healing begins. Because once you see the truth, you can no longer deny it. You can no longer pretend that the thing you lost was good for you. The heartbreak forces you to confront reality. And though it hurts, it is in that confrontation that your soul finds its freedom. What you once called punishment often turns out to be protection in disguise. Think back on moments you once thought would destroy you. The person who left, the door that closed, the opportunity that vanished. At the time, you were certain you could not survive it, but now, looking back, you see how that very heartbreak saved you from years of misery, from deeper wounds, from a path that would have drained the very essence of who you are. What you thought was life breaking you was actually life healing you. What you thought was cruelty was compassion hidden in pain. Heartbreak is not the end. It is the scalpel that cuts away what cannot remain so that the rest of you can live stronger, freer, and more whole than before. What you lose is often not a loss, but a divine redirection. We are taught to cling tightly to the things we love, the people we trust, the dreams we chase. And when any of these slip away from our grasp, it feels like devastation. We think of it as loss, pure and simple. But if you take a step back, if you look with deeper eyes, you begin to see that what left you was never meant to stay. What you lost was not your destiny, but the obstacle keeping you from it. The closed door was not rejection. It was redirection, shifting your path towards something you could not yet see. There are moments in life when everything inside of you aches to hold on. You fight for relationships that no longer serve you. You cling to jobs that drain your spirit. You chase after opportunities that were never truly yours. And then suddenly, without warning, they are gone. The friendship dissolves. The job ends. The dream collapses. You fall to your knees wondering why. But if you pause long enough, if you allow the dust to settle, you will see that every ending carved the way for a beginning you never would have considered had you remained where you were. It is not easy to see redirection in the middle of loss. All you feel is the emptiness, the silence, the void where something once lived. But life, in its wisdom, will sometimes strip away what you thought you needed to prove to you that you can live, and even thrive without it. What you call loss, heaven calls guidance. What you call rejection, heaven calls preservation. And what you call an ending is often the first step toward the chapter that will define you. Think about the stories you carry from your past. How many times did you want something so badly that you prayed, pleaded, and pushed for it to happen? And yet it didn't. At the time, you thought it was the greatest disappointment of your life. But later, perhaps years later, you realized that if you had received what you wanted, it would have broken you, delayed you, or destroyed you. The job you didn't get made room for the purpose you were created to fulfill. The person who walked away freed you from a love that would have shackled your spirit. The plan that failed opened your eyes to the path that was waiting just beyond the failure. Redirection does not feel gentle. It often feels like being pushed into the wilderness with no map and no light. But that wilderness is where you discover strength you never knew you had. It is where you are forced to release the illusion of control and trust the unseen hand guiding you. It is where you realize that sometimes the greatest gift you can be given is not what you hold on to, but what you are made to release. When something is taken from you, it is natural to grieve. It is natural to question. But as time passes, if you allow yourself to rise above the pain and look at your life with new perspective, you will see that what left was not your loss. It was your liberation. You were being freed from what you could not see, prepared for what you could not yet imagine, and guided toward what was always waiting for you. Pain is a teacher that shapes resilience, strength, and wisdom. There are some lessons in life that cannot be taught by comfort, by ease, or by success. They can only be forged in the furnace of suffering. Pain strips away illusions. It removes the mask of false security and reveals who you truly are when everything else is gone. While the world tells you to run from pain, life whispers a deeper truth. Do not fear it, for pain is often the very tool that molds you into the person you were destined to become. Think about the hardest seasons you have endured, the heartbreak that shattered you, the betrayal that cut deep, the failures that humiliated you. At the time, they felt unbearable. You thought you would never stand again, never smile again, never hope again. But as time passed, those very wounds became the reason you grew stronger. It became the evidence of your resilience, the foundation of your wisdom. Pain, though bitter, became the teacher that showed you how to rise when you had nothing left. Resilience is not born in times of ease. It is carved in moments when you are on your knees, when the weight of the world presses so heavily against you that every breath feels like a battle. Yet somehow you keep breathing. You keep rising. Each time you choose not to surrender, resilience is born. Each time you choose not to let the pain define you, strength is planted. The more you endure, the deeper your roots grow, until one day you realize that storms no longer shake you the way they once did. Strength, too, is a gift of pain. It is not the loud, boastful kind of strength, but the quiet, unshakable kind that others can feel in your presence. Strength is the calm in the middle of chaos, the peace that defies understanding. It is the ability to carry scars not as symbols of defeat, but as badges of survival. Every scar you carry tells a story, not of destruction, but of resilience. You are not weak because you were wounded. You are strong because you refused to let the wound end you. And then there's wisdom, perhaps the greatest treasure pain has to offer. Pain opens your eyes to what comfort blinds you from. It teaches you who to trust and who to walk away from. It shows you the difference between what you want and what you need. It helps you discern between temporary pleasure and lasting purpose. Wisdom is rarely gained in moments of ease. It is almost always purchased with the currency of suffering. Pain does not just change the way you see the world. It changes the way you see yourself. It forces you to confront your deepest fears, your hidden doubts, your buried insecurities. It stretches you, reshapes you, and redefines what you believe you're capable of. And though the process feels cruel, the outcome is beautiful. You emerge not only stronger, but wiser, not only scarred, but transformed. So when pain comes, and it will, do not see it as the enemy. See it as the teacher you never asked for, but always needed. Because in its lessons, you will find resilience. In its hardship, you will find strength. And in its silence, you will find wisdom. Breaking leads to rebuilding, and rebuilding leads to freedom. Life has a way of tearing down the very structures we thought were unshakable. It takes the relationships we trusted, the plans we designed, the dreams we held close, and it breaks them into pieces. And in the breaking, we often feel abandoned, lost, stripped of all that gave us meaning. But what we fail to see in those moments is that breaking is not the end, it is the beginning of rebuilding. And rebuilding is where freedom is found. When something breaks, it forces you to confront reality. You can no longer pretend that the foundation was strong when the cracks have been exposed. You can no longer convince yourself that the life you built was stable when it has come crashing down around you. Breaking is painful because it shatters illusions, and we as humans cling tightly to illusions. We cling to the idea that everything is fine, that what we have is enough, that we can hold it all together. But when the breaking comes, it strips away the false comfort and leaves only the truth. And though the truth hurts, it is the very key to your freedom. Rebuilding begins in the ashes of what was lost. It does not happen overnight, nor does it happen without effort. It requires courage to pick up the pieces of your heart, your dreams, your identity, and decide that you will not let the breaking define you. Rebuilding is the quiet act of resilience that whispers, "I will rise again." It is the determination to plant new seeds even after a fire has swept through the land. And though the process is slow, every brick you lay upon the ruins is a testament to your strength. The beauty of rebuilding is that it gives you the chance to build differently this time. When life breaks you, it is not so you can put the pieces back in the exact same way. It is so you can examine each piece and decide which ones belong in your new foundation and which ones must be left behind. You gain clarity. You see what is worth carrying and what was weighing you down. You are no longer bound by the old patterns, the old mistakes, the old versions of yourself. You are free to create something stronger, something purer, something truer to who you are becoming. And then comes freedom. Freedom is the gift of rebuilding with intention. Freedom is the realization that you are no longer chained to what broke you. You are no longer trapped by what ended. You have released what was never truly yours and embraced what is meant to stay. Freedom is not about forgetting the past. It is about not being bound by it. It is about walking forward unafraid of breaking again. Because you now know that even in the breaking, you will rise. Breaking may leave scars, but those scars are not signs of weakness. They are reminders of survival. They remind you that even when everything fell apart, you found the strength to rebuild. They remind you that what once held you captive no longer has power over you. They remind you that freedom was born not in the moments of perfection, but in the moments of breaking and rebuilding. So when your life crumbles, when your heart shatters, when everything you thought was stable collapses, do not despair. Breaking is not the end of the story. It is the turning point where rebuilding begins. And in that rebuilding, you will discover a freedom that cannot be taken from you.